Hi friends, this is my fifth video about journey to real estate, and I made four videos earlier, and I decided to take a little break and then drink some water and think about more stuff, so my real story about how I became a real estate man, or real estate guy, or investor in real estate in Bloomington, Indiana. The last video, part number 4. This is part number 5. The part 5th. The last video I talked about that I started delivering pizzas during the weekdays and also cut hair and in a beauty salon on weekends. And this is how I started saving money. But I did not know where I'm gonna put the money and how I'm gonna where I'm gonna invest the money and how I'm gonna multiply that money. But my heart was in business. Even though I was studying chemistry at Bloomington campus, Indiana University, but my heart was in chemistry too, but not to make money. I knew that right from the get-go. If you work for somebody, if you work for any company, or if you have any job, there is no way, unless you happen to work with a big company and then you have shares of the company, then you probably over the years by luck, or maybe the company does really well, then you probably will multiply your shares money into hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. But typically that doesn't happen. Typically the people put money in their retirement fund, and here in the United States in the 401k they called it, and then company puts if let's say you're putting 15% of your gross income into the 401k, the retirement fund, then company sometimes matches 2 or 3, sometimes matches what you put in your 401k or the retirement fund, that matches the same amount, or sometimes company puts only 2 or 3%, whatever the amount you have put in. And then over the years, it accumulates, and by the time you retire, you may have $500,000 or $600,000 dollars, or maybe sometimes $700,000-$800,000. It depends what kind of job you have and also what kind of a salary you are getting. And I knew that you put 35 years into a job. By the time you retire from your job, you may have a house worth probably $500,000 or maybe $600,000-$700,000, and you might have $700,000-$800,000 in your retirement fund. So altogether your net worth is about million and a half if you are lucky, if you are middle class or person, or if you are upper middle class, then you probably will have probably, let's say, $2 million, including your house and your retirement funds, unless you have invested money somewhere else. This is a typical scenario I'm talking about. This is not the case. Some people actually have made through jobs a lot of money, but usually it doesn't happen that way. So my heart was in chemistry, but just as a subject. I didn't want to do chemistry for living. And the reason I did not want to do chemistry for living, because I did not see myself as a scientist sitting in the lab and doing experiments. It was just not me. Even though I got accepted in a PhD program at a different university when I finished my degree here at Indiana University, but I asked myself, why I want to do PhD. I also had a couple of jobs, very good jobs. I could have gotten those jobs if I really wanted to, but they were entry-level chemist jobs, $45,000 per year, or maybe $50,000 per year. And I knew that by the time I would retire, after putting 30 or 35 years in the job, I may have probably $700,000-$800,000 saved, and also some money in my house. And that was not the route I wanted to take. I knew that I would always have that option open because I had education, and that's the greatest thing. And the reason I went to Indiana University, I'm going to tell you in some other video it will show up, but I'm just going to tell you why I went to Indiana University, because it's a college town, and this is what I was lacking: the confidence. When you are in a new society, new country, you have everything stacked up against you, no matter what education and what experience you bring it to their new situation and new country. And so the language, of course, was shaky, and also more so anything is a confidence. because you really have to give up, or you really have to erase whatever you learned in a different culture where you came from. So I needed that confidence. I needed that boost of confidence within myself so that I can do something in life, and especially start life in the United States. So anyhow, going back to the story, I was delivering pizzas on weekdays, and I was working as a hairdresser in a beauty salon in part-time. Now here I done two jobs sometimes, sometimes continuously, sometimes I took the break from one job because of the finals or because of my exams or whatever, and then I just did one job, and sometimes I didn't do any of the job. I had to be flexible because I was a student. My goal was to get my degree and get my confidence level up before I would do anything else. So after I graduated, I got accepted, almost accepted in a PhD program, but I just didn't pursue it. And I had a couple of jobs lined up, but I thought that this is not the way I want to live my life. So I thought that, okay, I'm not going to talk to anybody about that I have a degree in chemistry from Indiana University, because then most people say that why did you go to college if you're not using your degree or your education for a living. My way of seeing life was entirely different. It's still entirely different than most people. So I just wanted to try my luck in business. So I was searching already when I was a student of a different type of businesses, but nothing really clicked in my mind. And the only thing really clicked in my mind more and more is the real estate business. Haircutting business was doing really well. The haircutting, but I was still getting hourly wages and tips and all that. So that was not great. But I knew that someday I might buy a salon, and which I ended up doing actually in 1997. I bought a salon here, Jordan. In Bloomington, Indiana, a very great location, very successful salon. But anyhow, so I was saving money between two jobs, $125 to $150 every day. I started delivering pizza full time, and I started cutting hair full time, and then this is how I started building up money. So I was delivering pizzas to one house when I was a student, and that house is in Bloomington. And it's on 15th Street, 211 East 15th is the address of the house. And they were the 1991. I remember that there were three girls living in that house, and as far as I remember, their names were Michelle, Megan, and Melissa. The three girls, if I'm not mistaken. So I would deliver pizzas. Well, they would order pizza every 10 days or so. I would deliver the pizza. I was senior in college, they were senior in college, and so we sort of became like friends. And they would ask me what I would do after school, after graduating, and I would ask them what they would do after graduating. And they were talking about a couple of girls. I remember they were talking about that they will move to Colorado. I think they were in a program, environmental studies. So what we had actually in common is chemistry, because the people who study environmental studies, they have to take some chemistry. And whenever I tell people I'm studying chemistry, so they just sort of thought that chemistry was a hard subject, and chemistry was not really a hard subject to me or for me, because I already studied chemistry back in India. It was basically a shortcut for me to study chemistry. So I finished the entire program less than 3 years. So I think probably around 3 years or so. 4 years degree program I finished in 3 years. Very easy. But anyhow, we are now talking about chemistry. So one day when Melissa, Megan, and Michelle I was talking with, and they started talking about moving out of Bloomington, and they said that their house, their landlord is going to sell. And they mentioned the name of the landlord, John, and I said, well, listen, so John is not going to re-rent the house to somebody else. And they said, very likely not, because he's cutting it down maybe, or we don't know the situation, but he's going to sell the house. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to talk to John. So back in those days, we didn't have cell phone. So I jotted down the number of John, came home, and next day I called John. I said to John, you own the house, 211 East 15th Street? And he said, yes. As a matter of fact, I still talk to John here and there. He's still around, very nice guy, very friendly guy, and he's a great person. Anyhow, I knew his entire family too. Over the years, I got to know his family, and his father was a dentist, and he's no longer. around, but his brother is a dentist, and so I became friends to John. And John said, "That's yes, he's gonna sell the house." So I said, "Okay, can we meet?" Next day. So John said that he's gonna be at the house around 10:30 or 11 the next day. So I went over to John and I said that, okay, so what's the deal, John? And John said, well, listen, Sharma, I bought this house for $42,000. And so if you pay me $50,000, you can have this baby. These kids are moving out, and then you can have the house. Well, I was senior in college, and I think it was my last semester. I still remember that it was a fall semester. I was still studying. I still had to study, but I decided that I'm gonna get the house. And so I talked to John, and I was delivering also pizza to one of the local banker. And that guy was very good. He passed away about 12 years ago, and he was really good. He used to eat pepperoni pizza. I used to deliver pepperoni pizza to him. So I went to his office, and I said, well, yes, Jack, I'm thinking about buying a house. He was the vice president of the bank. I'm not going to mention his last name, because the reason I'm not mentioning last names of the people, because I don't have their consent. So anyhow, I said, well, Jack, I'm thinking about buying this house, and what can you do for me? And I took a pizza, pepperoni pizza for him. And Jack said that, well, I didn't order the pizza. I said, Jack, I know that you didn't order the pizza, and but just you can have it. No, Jack, Sharma, I'm gonna pay you for the pizza. And I said, no, Jack, we get one pizza every week, free pizza. So it's my gift to you. Just take it as a gift. Then we talked about the house, and I said, well, Jack, this is what is going on. The house is $50,000, and I think John is going to give me about $1,000 or $2,000 credit because one of the rafter of the roof has a little bit of dip in it, because a couple of the rafters of the roof were cracked or broken. Not totally broken, but sort of like had crack in it, so the roof got sagged. So John said that, well, he will give me a couple of $1,000 to get the roof repaired. And so house was, I think, about $50,000 or maybe $40,000. And I did not know anything about real estate. I absolutely had no knowledge about real estate, how the houses were built, what I have to do with the houses, how to deal with the tenants and all that. I just thought that. But I did have a knowledge about how to run business, or any business. Basically, if you get into any business, the basics are same. Whether you run a pizza shop, whether you run a real estate, or whether you run a beauty salon, or whether you run a 5-star hotel, or whether you run a big factory. Basically, the rule of thumb is that your inflow of money has to be bigger than your outflow of money, and you have to manage money. If you know how to manage money, and if you know exactly how to solve problems, the successful businessmen are the people who solve problems every single day. Same thing goes with politicians, same thing goes with lawyers, because these are the people who solve problems every day. And of course, the other people too. But when you create your own check, especially in business, you have to be good with people, and also you have to be a problem solver. So anyhow, the Jack said, we went back and forth and all that, and Jack approved the loan. Jack approved it. That was very nice of him. And here I'm about to graduate from school and delivering pizzas to this house. And then all of a sudden, after delivering pizzas to this home for probably over 6 months, and to these 3 M's, the reason I call these 3 M's, Melissa, Megan, and Michelle, 3 girls starts with their name with M, so I call them in my mind 3 M's, and I became a landlord. You would not believe the feelings I had. All of a sudden, you become a landlord of the place where you're delivering pizza for the last 6 months. That did something to me that put so much energy, and I started seeing myself very differently in my mind. I said, yes. Now I have something to cling on. Now I have something to count on. Now I have something to go on with. Now I have something to say that I own. And that's how I bought my very first house in Bloomington, Indiana, 211 East 15th Street. I still own it. I still rent it. I have a special connection to that